guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So if you couldn't tell by the title or the picture of this video, we're going to be doing a book haul. I kind of want to turn this into like not necessarily a mini series, but a series on the channel, because this bookshelf is pretty much full. I have another one that I need to put the finishing touches on and then drag it into my room and put it next to it. And then I have a third bookshelf as well that is already pretty full. So I'm looking into getting a fourth one. I wish somebody would have told me that being a book lover, booktuber, whatever was going to be extremely costly. But I decided to do this video because I realized I have a little over 18, maybe 20, a little over 20 new books. So I'm going to break this up into a couple different parts. You most likely see me wearing the same thing, and then I'll try to spread this out. I'm going to start with like the heavier stuff first, because I do think this is super, super important. I think reading is very fundamental skill that you could have in life. And it is super important that we, you know, expand upon our knowledge no matter how we come about doing that, but also make sure we're doing it in the most appropriate way. But how you learn is how you learn. That's your business, whatever. I love to read. So the very first part of this series, because I don't want to kind of like mingle this in with the other books, because like I said, it is going to be a touch heavier, but I do want to go over some of the banned books that I purchased, and then I want to go over some of the fantasy and then romance slash historical fiction books that I got, and that's going to be separate from the banned books, even though I think some of those other genres that I listed are banned books. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 banned books that I just recently got, and I'm super happy to kind of get into them. One of them is like super short, so I think I can finish that in a day. Another one of these I was already introduced to because it was one of my daughter's reading assignments, I think when she was in the 10th grade. Don't quote me, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it was 9th grade, I don't know. Either way, these are some books that I am going to interweave into this shelf right here. I told you guys this middle shelf is all the books that I have not read yet. So that is like my physical TBR for 2025 and beyond. I guess whenever I finish them, the hope is to finish all of them this year. But without further ado, let's get started. This is my little stack of banned books right here for you guys. And I'll start with the first one. Whew, this is falling. So I have Animal Farm by George Orwell. And I'm going to also preface this by saying a lot of these, with the exception of some of these banned books, I went into based solely on the vibes. Now a lot of these banned books are pretty much set in like dystopian times, or they talk about, you know, an actual time in history where some of these things are kind of coming to pass now, which is kind of crazy and kind of scary. So I definitely have to interweave these in between books just to kind of like cleanse my palate, because books kind of like this one and some of the other ones are really, really, really hard for me to get into, not into, but get out of, like cleansing my mind basically. And not to say that I ignore any of the things that is currently happening and what's going on with the state of the world today, but it is just very hard to believe that this is like our reality in 2025. But yeah, based on the back of what this says, it says all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And I'm gonna just let y'all sit with that one sentence from the back of this book, because that right there speaks volumes. And if you know, you know. But this is going to be one of the first books. And like I said, this one's pretty short. It is less than 200 pages. So I'm definitely going to start with this one first and then kind of go from there. This one's the 75th anniversary edition. Apparently there's a couple different covers for this book, but this is the one that I was able to get my hands on. The next one I've seen, I think I want to say I watched only season 1 of this show on Netflix. And it's kind of scary how accurate some of the portrayals are, but that's going to be The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I wonder if, like, for the authors who passed away, or some of them that may be alive, if they knew how close to home they were hitting with these books. But yeah, this one's a pretty short one too. It's about 300-ish pages. She has a sequel. It's called The Testaments. And these books are supposed to go hand in hand, but apparently a lot of the themes in this book have come to pass already for some of us. the female population, I will say that. But yes, this one is going to be the next one. I didn't realize it was the #1 worldwide bestseller. I didn't even know that was a title a book could, not a title, but an honor a book could have. But yeah, and then I'll most likely pick up the Testaments because I do want to see how different these are from the Netflix shows. You know, whenever they do a book to series or book to movie adaptation, they always take out a lot of the details, so it'll be interesting to see. And the Handmaid's Tale was hard for me to watch. That's why I've only gotten through season 1, and I barely got through season 1, so I don't know how I'm gonna feel with all the extra details from the book. The next book that I got in this banned books list is Big Brother. This is another book by, I'm sorry, not Big Brother, it's 1984 by George Orwell, same guy who wrote The Animal Farm. This is another book that he wrote. And also, oh, so he passed away in 1950. Shoot. And what I didn't realize, I think the book is in English, but the introduction and the synopsis on the back are written in Italian. I didn't pay attention to that, but I know very basic, very little Italian, so I can read some of this. But one of my favorite booktubers, Kalila, was talking about this book and just how close this hit to our current predicament in 2025, and I'm just like, these are necessary books though, okay? Like, all of this is necessary. It's necessary to read. So that's #3 on the list. And then the next two, and I'm gonna say two because these are I don't know if it's a series. I know it's a duology. I don't know if she has a third book, but these two books are gonna be by Octavia E. Butler, Parable of the Sawyer and then Parable of the Talents. Apparently, just from the few things that I was able to see, like, this talks about like the fires that are going on or happened in California back then, but it's super relevant because California had the stuff going on with the fires. I don't watch the news. I tend to get a lot of my updates through social media and the few peaks of the news that I will catch a glimpse of, but it is extremely depressing, and I usually only tune in when I really, really need to. Needless to say, all that to say, I don't know if the fires are still going on in California, but this book, I don't think if she knew then, if she knew now, if she knew then, I know she's dead, but if she knew now, if she knew then, I think she would be flabbergasted, because a lot of this is like a prediction of how life is now. And again, these are all relatively quick reads. I don't think any of the books are touching 400 pages, but needless to say, I know Octavia E. Butler is a great author. I'm terrified to read these two books, but they're on the list. They're necessary reads. They're in the banned books category. And I don't know. I know she has another one. I think it's called Kindred or something like that. I'll put a picture of the book on the screen. And it touches on slavery, like, hard. And those kind of books really do, like, they pull the deepest kind of emotion out of me, and it's always really hard. For those of you who don't know, I grew up and lived in Louisiana for a very, very long time, so a lot of the history is very hard. And some of our field trips used to be to like plantations and tobacco farms, which I don't know why they decided to take a school full of Black kids on a field trip to plantations. And just being on a plantation pulls like the strongest kind of emotion out of me. So I don't know if I'll be able to get through Octavia E. Butler's books completely unscathed. But I'm gonna try my hardest because I've heard great things about her. And then the last book I have, like I said, I touched on this and said that my daughter had to read this for either 9th or 10th grade. But it's Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. And the show, I know it's on Netflix and Amazon Prime and Hulu and all those things, HBO, I think, or Max, whatever it's called nowadays. But it is so different from the actual book itself. I remember like short synopses or things from certain chapters. My daughter was reading the book because I was trying to help her get through her assignment, but we couldn't find her original copy, so I repurchased it, and I'm gonna go through it like cover to cover to really get a good grasp on it, because I know who is it? Michael B. Jordan is like the main character, Montag, and it's it's like I said, the show is very different, or the movie is very different from the book, and I need the details. I need the details. I am usually always a fan when an author can get their book adapted into a series or a movie, but I hate that a lot of the detail gets lost because it's a movie and there's only so much that they can do. But that was my little stack of books. This is part 1 of this series, so please stay tuned for parts 2 and 3, and for whatever else is going to happen in this book. I will always try to incorporate book hauls or bookish merch hauls as you know, I collect things, but this is my little collection of banned books. I know that even like some of the Harry Potter books and the Twilight books and 50 Shades of Grey, like, and any book about like being queer or like sapphic tropes or sapphic romance, whatever, like those are starting to, or maybe not starting to, but are in the banned category. And I think that is absolutely insane, because I don't know if I've said this in a video before, I use books as a form of escapism. My life right now is really difficult, and I know there are people out there who would trade places with me in a heartbeat, but for me to kind of like calm my brain and my heart down and my stress level, I use my books as a way to escape. Not necessarily with these kinds of books, but with all of my other books, like the rom-coms and the fantasies and whatever else that it is that I'm reading. I usually use that to just kind of get out of my head and calm my body down, and then kind of ease back into my life. So it is very hard to see a lot of, like, even some childhood books that I was growing up. I think the Where the Wild Things Are is a banned book, and that is absolutely insane. And I really want to get as many physical copies of as many banned books, or just books in general, before shit kind of hits the fan, you know, before we were actually living in Fahrenheit 451. So that is part 1 of this series. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and please stay tuned for the next couple of series. I will have these trying to come up as often as I can. Tell me what books you guys are liking, if you have a collection of banned books, and I will interact with you guys in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.